feel this?
Donovan, what's been going on this week?
Aiden, we're here with a little bit of Grizzled veterans, eh?
Hey.
Arr, arr. Are we gonna sing this time?
No.
Because we're live.
Oh fuck, we're live. Sorry. Welcome to Grizzled Veterans!
Arr.
I'm drinking again!
Arr.
I think I have to make this like a thing.
Every week, we gotta do something.
Drinks. You know what? I listen to many gaming podcasts, and the best one always have alcohol involved.
I figured we're allowed to be a little loose.
Yeah. They'll have to worry when we start getting naked and doing this shit.
We'll
do one in the Schwitz. You know what the Schwitz is? The Russian Schwitz?
Like,
the sauna.
Oh, okay, right.
Ah.
I was thinking about, what was that character on Saturday Night Live? Now's the time on Sprockets when we dance.
Oh, Hans and Franz pump you up. Yeah. Those guys.
No, it was a different guy, wasn't it? There was Hans and Franz, and then there was the guy that was all like wearing the glasses and the black shirt and everything.
Oh, the Maud, Mike Myers. The Maud guy.
Now's the time on Sprockets when we dance.
Yeah, that was German. Yeah, that was funny. Anyway,
all right.
Welcome
to Grizzled Veterans.
4.
Episode 4.
Like you said,
A New Hope.
A New Hope. Or lost all hope.
Yeah. I'm losing hope.
Again, I'm one of your hosts, Jason Rose.
And I'm the co-host here again, Mr. Donovan Oziak.
I will drop the co-host. We're just... Well, co-host is another host.
That's what I mean.
Come on, talking about co-host.
I like being the co-host.
And I'm your co-host.
That's
right. I just end up going first all the time.
That's right.
Crazy week. Crazy few weeks.
Yeah, well, I am losing my patience with two of my favorite game companies. And this is going to be brief. But I got to spout a little bit of hate towards Squeenix. And so many fond memories. But geez, guys, what are you doing? What are you doing with this DLC for Final Fantasy 13-2? How many times I'm going to have to say that? I hope not too many. Because Final Fantasy 13-2 is a long time.
Well, hopefully there's no more, so we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Okay, all I want to say is the Lightning DLC came out. Downloaded it day one. And I was very excited. Because I'm like, this is cool. This is like, I think it's the final DLC for the game. And, you know, it's the one we've all been waiting for, more or less.
You.
The fans, whatever. So anyway, I get this thing, I load it up, I watch a 5-minute cinema, and I fight a battle with Caius, and I lose. And I lose again.
Caius is the main antagonist.
Right. But the thing about this thing is, it's like a special battle. So when you lose, you actually still get experience, and the whole idea is that you can go up to level 10, but the challenge is to beat him before you get to level 10.
Why?
I don't know. I think...
Is it an imaginary challenge or you get something for it?
Honestly, I did beat him. I got to level 5 and I beat him. And there was nothing. It was just like...
It's over?
A normal battle end screen.
So is this a prequel or...
Well, I mean, like...
It's the prequel basically that...
No, it's a battle that's supposed to take place at the same time as like the end game battle kind of thing.
Oh.
Where Lightning's fighting her battle against Caius and Sarah and Noel are fighting their battle against Caius, right? So it's supposed to all... And it's actually, the cinema was really cool leading up to the fight.
I mean, but this is the battle that they used to promote the game.
Right, and so...
And her visual style was taken.
Well, and it looks pretty, don't get me wrong, but even still, like, it's one battle. And it's just Lightning versus Caius. So
you're
the system's a little different. I was disappointed. I was getting really impatient with it, to be honest.
So it's nothing...
I might have to like go at it with a different outlook or something because it kind of pissed me off when I first played it. Obviously, I didn't unlock...
Stay with the anger, man.
Yeah, obviously I didn't unlock Lightning because I didn't get a 5-star rating. But
I thought you already got her through the...
You can unlock a different, like her in her angelic armor.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, can you tackle this DLC from the onset, or do you have to be a certain...
They recommend that you have beaten the game already because it gives
But you could actually just start with it.
I think if you buy it and you haven't played through the game, like in my case, you can get it from me. I think you might be able to just go straight.
And then I can use Lightning all the way from the beginning.
Maybe. But
that'd be awesome.
It is, but I have to look up the exact requirements because it's a certain. You have to meet a certain set of.
My theory, and we've talked about this before, is that they cut it from the main game on purpose.
Well, I would have to agree with you, especially at this point.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
I think the people that were asking for DLC with the last game.
I don't know if they were necessarily asking for it, but they were so angry because 13.
They felt like things were missing.
Were missing on purpose to fit it onto the 360. With the delay intact. I mean, and then there was all the comments that they cut out stuff on purpose. But you know what? 13 is a little bit old. Move past. So what's the Donovan? Is it the thumbs up or thumbs down?
I gotta give it a thumbs down. I paid $5 for this thing, and I'm like
the eternal optimist.
Well,
down.
Like I said, I think I have to play it some more. But
You're
honestly,
coming to the dark side.
I shouldn't have to drill myself with this thing to like it. All right, moving on.
Okay. While we're on the DLC thing, I just want to touch on the new Harley Quinn DLC for the Arkham City.
Sure.
Something we touched on about, I think, in episode 2. Arkham City sort of missed the boat with existing story DLC and brought in challenge missions with Robin and Nightwing, blah, blah, blah. But everyone wanted more story DLC. Well, we're getting it now.
Yeah.
Looks cool.
It does look...
Harley Quinn's the main thrust. I don't know, Batman's gone missing. You play as Robin, which is awesome.
Apparently you play as both.
Yeah, eventually you get content. I would have been fine with it just being Robin, to be honest.
I think
I've done the
cool.
Batman thing for 2 games, and I loved playing as Batman.
Well, they're going to give you some new mechanics with Robin. Yeah. He's got
he's great to use in the challenge mission.
Shield that you can use.
And multiple things. He has a bow staff.
Yep.
Which is, if you've played the challenge missions, I have. I was one of the suckers that bought it. He's awesome. I love his look for the game, too, with the hood and things like that. Robin always, in the comic books, to me, is... Pardon my French, is rather gay. he looks silly and
the
boyish,
classic, the
boy wonder
style.
Classic. But Robin kind of sucks. But so they've, he's more adult oriented. I don't know. He looked good. Yeah, and I'll definitely get it.
I think the design over all the characters that Rocksteady has gone with this game has been pretty fantastic.
Except Bane.
Bane was pretty close to the comic as far. I think we've already talked about that anyway. But anyway, yeah, I'm really excited about this DLC. But I will say one thing about it that kind of rubs me the wrong way, and that
can't
is
rub Donovan the wrong way.
And that is, for people like me who bought or pre-ordered it.
Yeah.
What do we get? We're not getting this for free.
Pre-ordered what?
Let's say we pre-ordered the game. We were that excited. We got it day one.
Arkham City. Why should we get it free though?
Well, because the people that buy the Game of the Year version are getting all the DLC for free. And they're getting the game for a cheaper price.
But they also get the ugliest box art ever known to man. Have you seen that thing? It's horrendous.
It's pretty ugly box art. But what I'm saying is they get a discounted game with all the DLC.
Why? When's that game come out?
They're bringing out the Game of the Year edition a week after the DLC comes out.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. I don't know. It just kind of rubbed me a little bit bad.
Donovan, you're in a bit of a cantankerous mood today.
Maybe I am.
You're a little different today.
Well,
you guys are seeing the dark side of Donovan today.
This is what happens when I switch shifts.
Yeah.
I'm a little ornery. So
this is real life taking hold. I always wonder. I listen to other gaming podcasts. And these guys are all gaming, so everything's games. Real life is games. Their work is games, so they just talk about us.
We have
We have to put our real lives aside. The boring shit stays outside that door. When we close it, it's just game world, but other things still affect us.
That's right.
Shift work affects Donovan.
That's right. I gotta punch the clock.
Fighting off women affects me.
Well, hey, we've all got our problems.
Just joking, baby. I love you. So what have you been playing? You've been playing like 80 games. You don't finish games. You just
No, actually, I finish a lot of games, but the problem is right now, too many good ones came out at once.
Give me the main 3 you're playing, because I know you're playing like 7.
I am pretty much.
Okay.
I am.
Those are the top 3 you're playing.
Well, I started playing The Witcher.
Yeah, Witcher 2.
I got to close to the end of the first act.
Yeah.
But because I was still really excited about Mass Effect, I started playing Mass Effect 1 again, and I've already beat the first game.
Yeah, I remember you saying
the second game.
Last time we recorded, I think episode 3, you said you were going to redo the entire trilogy in a Renegade.
Yeah.
So you've done that.
Here I have done that, and I'm already 11 hours into Mass Effect 2, so I'm having a good time with it.
You know what? That's a really cool experience. I'll do that eventually when I get the time. Well, I got the one for PC, but I'll go through them all again.
I'll say one thing about it. everything is so fresh in your head that when you bump into these like side characters.
What did we say last time?
I know.
We can't talk about Mass Effect.
I know.
Okay, so let's talk about The Witcher.
Okay, The Witcher is fantastic. It's definitely the battle system is good and it's tricky. I had to fight a major boss
at the end of chapter 1.
Near the end of chapter
Act 1 or whatever.
Yeah, Act 1, and I'm telling you, man, it took me about 10 tries.
Yeah, I heard the learning curve is relatively steep, and it's an unforgiving game, so to speak. But it's rewarding in the fact that when you win, you know you did it because of skill. It's not because it's cheap.
Well,
am I right?
I did kind of win by getting the guy into a corner a bit and kind of rolling around.
Okay.
It was just a fluke.
It happens. You know, sometimes when you're early in a game, you use those exploits, and then towards, you know, somewhere around the middle point of a game like that, it'll just click, and then you're like, why did I suck at the beginning? Well, how did I suck?
It's partly because I'm not using a guide for this game, doing it all by...
Yeah.
It comes with sort of a loose guide. It doesn't tell you how to get through the puzzles or any of that stuff, but it gives you kind of a loose guideline of where to go.
How's the game visual-wise?
It's very nice.
Yeah, it looked... I was really contemplating on picking it up for the PC.
I mean, obviously the PC version looks better.
I'm still holding out the hope that it will come to my PS3.
It may eventually. The guys that did the port, they basically said that the reason they did the Xbox version first was because it was the easiest one to tackle.
Sure.
And if they're going to do a PS3 version, you know that they put a lot of love into the Xbox version, so they'll do the same thing for a
change
PS3
the interface
version.
a bit.
Yeah.
And I would be generally more upset, but I just have so many things to play, and real life has taken hold in so many different ways that I just wouldn't have time for it anyway. So
summertime is practically here.
Summertime.
But yeah, I mean, you asked me what 3 games are the main ones I'm playing, and I guess I'd have to say Witcher, Mass Effect, and actually I picked up Red Dead Redemption again and was playing that.
Nice. Again, that's a game I really have to finish. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
You know, there's other games I'm playing too, but like that's the most recent one that I kind of went, I haven't played that in a while, and I hadn't played that far into it yet. So I just got to Mexico.
Open world games are my bane. The bane of my existence in gaming. Because my problem, I'm a completionist. I have to see and experience almost everything. In those games, it's almost impossible.
Well, like Infamous is the same kind of thing, right?
No, but Infamous the scope is so much smaller. It's not like Red Dead Redemption, where you can just go off and start hunting animals, and before you know it, 4 hours have passed.
Yeah.
It's completely different.
I've done that too. It's the
Infamous is nowhere near the scope of what Red Dead Redemption.
But it just reminded me of how addictive it is too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I guess I'll go.
Yeah.
What I'm playing? Well, I just picked up Dragon's Dogma yesterday.
Very cool.
Because today is Wednesday. Hump Day. Yes, Dragon's Dogma. It's cool. The battle system is great. I like the monsters and the way they handle it. The story's a little cheesy, as is the bit of the dialogue, but so what? Like, what isn't in a fantasy setting these days?
Yeah.
It's pretty rare to get one that's not hilarious in certain parts, but...
Well, I think it's actually kind of cool that they went with a very traditional art style.
Yeah. I don't... A lot of people saying... I took issue with a couple of the different reviews that I read on major sites, but I'll get to that in a second. But one of the issues was that the game was ugly. I couldn't disagree more. It's different. It takes a more traditional approach with the characters, but I wouldn't say they're ugly.
No, I think once you get, like, if you get really close...
Well, they're not as detailed, but you know what?
On the other hand, when I watched the review, the Game Trailers review, I was like, I'm impressed with the graphics. This is a Capcom game after all.
What did Game Trailers give it?
I think they gave it either a high 7 or a low 8.
Oh, they do like 0.9s.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't do... Well, IGN gave it an 8.5, I believe. 8.5 or 8. Decent score, whatever. You know, but... I look at reviews like Kotaku gave it a really low score. Joystick gave it 2 stars out of 5. And that wouldn't bug me, but the reviews bother me in the fact that they were on the game for it basically not being Skyrim. And a lot of the points that they pointed out are where Skyrim falters as well. Now, I wouldn't say the overworld in Dragon's Dogma is even in the same vicinity of what Skyrim offered, but... You know, they got on it for not having a lock system to lock onto the enemy you're fighting. Skyrim didn't have. The weakest part of Skyrim was the battle system.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's not that good.
No.
The enemies
the story
look cool.
and
the first
world
person
that carries
perspective
Skyrim.
hampers it more than helps it.
Yeah.
Dragon's Dogma excels in the gameplay aspect. Now, I would agree that the menu systems isn't the most intuitive or easy to use, but neither is Skyrim's.
No.
You know, encumbrance, you're picking up bread and fucking moldy cheese, and like there's no quick swap for armor sets that enhance. You know, I was an archery guy, and then I'd like to go to dual wield. You know, I couldn't just do it on the fly quick with the flick of my D-pad or something like that.
Well, you mean in Skyrim?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
No, you can't. You got to do it different. You can't just swap on the fly.
Yeah, you can.
You got to pull up the menu.
No, you got to hold the direction pad. If you hold left, you'll select your left primary weapon. If you hold right, you'll select your right primary weapon.
Oh, yeah, but you still got to pull the menu up.
No, you don't. You can do it both ways.
Yeah, but if I'm holding a bow in one hand, you can't just all of a sudden swap to swords on the fly without going into the menu. You can't do that.
Yeah, I can.
I don't know. Maybe it's been too long I played it then, because I don't remember that at all. But anyway, I do
remember that being something that wasn't handed to you in the manual or anything. Like there was something I saw in a loading screen at one point. I was like, oh,
I don't know. I'm gonna have to try this out and prove you wrong. But anyway, the systems in Dragon's Dogma, it's not the best, but it works, and the different battle mechanics work. I like it. I like the game, and it has a lot of problems, and it's not short either. I think it's like 40 hours.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. You
know, the story's crap. Well, I'm sorry, Skyrim's story wasn't that good either.
Yeah,
it's not very good. So, you know, why is Skyrim a 9 when it's the buggiest game out that was ever released? Other than all of Bethesda's games, Fallout, they're all super buggy.
Yeah.
Well, and why is that forgiving? And then you're docking points on a review for graphical glitchiness in Dragon's Dogma when I haven't found any glitches so far.
Why is it because it's by Capcom, so it has higher graphical standards?
What I've noticed though is both of those sites basically shitted on the game from day one. They never really gave it much of a chance. I'm not saying it's as good as Skyrim, but it's not a 3 when Skyrim's a 9. I'm sorry, they're not that far apart.
And really, I mean, they're similar but very different at the same time. I mean, yes, they're fantasy role-playing games.
This is Capcom's approach at a Western-style RPG.
That's basically what I was saying.
They've made JRPGs before. I shouldn't say they're Japanese. They're making RPGs in their home country, but what we would call JRPGs with Breath of Fire, and these are traditional JRPGs. This is their first stab, I believe, at a Western-style one, and I don't know. I remember watching the trailers, and the demo was decent to me, and then I'd read, this game's got a lot of work to do, and I was like, the game looks impressive to me. So I'm looking forward to playing it.
I'm waiting forward to hearing more from it.
Yeah, I'll definitely let you know about it, but it's got that on disc DLC. But if you notice, Capcom recently came out, and they've admitted that they need to change their business structure in terms of DLC.
I heard about this, actually, which is actually the show on Screw Attack that I was going to show you, this newsroom thing. The second episode was completely about that, and I mean, I guess I'll spoil it.
I don't care. Yeah.
Basically, Jared orders a way for a prototype Capcom game with just the game and no DLC on it, and it ends up coming on a mini disc.
That's hilarious. Yeah, it's the worst. I'm glad they've actually acknowledged it, because other fighting game people, Capcom's known for fighting games, have basically started kicking dirt in their face indirectly, especially Tekken, saying they don't plan to have paid DLC.
Yeah.
DLC doesn't mean they're going to have to pay for it.
Right.
They're going to offer characters basically free. I don't know the creator of Tekken Tag Tournament 2 coming out.
Right.
But yeah, and he even said his version of Tekken Cross Street Fighter won't have paid DLC either.
Yeah.
Hopefully Capcom gets the message, because it's gone too far. Well, and we've talked about that.
We have, and I mean, the message is not hard for them to find.
No, it's not. So that's basically what I've been playing. I'm still touching on the Mass Effect 3 DLC. Actually, I just finished Assassin's Creed Revelation.
Okay.
I liked it, but whatever. It's Assassin's Creed. It basically wraps the story up of Ezio and Altair. Altair's from number 1. Ezio through and through. The game is very pretty. And I've always thought the best part about those games is the secret... what did it say? Dungeons. I don't know. They're always collectible, and they're the self-contained areas where you can explore, and they're just awesome. They're the best parts of all the games.
The ones where you like find little hidden switches on the wall.
Well, yeah, like in Revelations, one is like Hagia Sophia. That's the ancient. You're in Constantinople.
Okay.
So I believe that's Turkey now. I don't know. Don't kill me for my geography, please, or my history. But yeah, these are self-contained areas we can explore, and they're gorgeous. The game's good. I'm looking forward to 3.
Well, 3 is actually the first Assassin's Creed that's caught my attention in quite a long time.
Yeah, you're not Assassin's Creed.
It just hasn't really grabbed me.
See, but the thing is, I'm not a huge fan either. It's weird why I'm compelled to play these games. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't love them. I don't love. I feel like the story is so. How do I say? Underdeveloped.
Does it maybe just fill that gap of an open world game that you need to have or something?
It's not even an open world. I like the concept
because it has
and
that
the game
collection.
Is gorgeous.
Yeah,
it's a gorgeous game, and I like the concept of being an assassin. But for an Assassin's Creed, that's the title. They've never mastered the concept of actually assassinating people. I'm sorry, like you're big. When you go to kill the main enemy, they got a little bit better as the games went on. But even at the beginning. Most of your kills, or when you were sent off to kill someone major, resolved in you fighting 10 different guys.
Yeah.
And eventually working up to the guy and sort of assassinating him, then a cutscene would happen. There was no skulking around. It was almost impossible to do. And when you got caught, you'd be like, what the hell caught me? It didn't make any sense.
Right.
But I always felt they could improve on that. And the story's sort of, like, the story's basically the modern day guy from the first one. Desmond. But they spend so much time on him going back in the past. Now I get that's the main crux of the game. That's what it's about.
Right.
But the actual story is the present day with Desmond, and they do so little with it.
That's what I've heard.
They do so little with it.
Like I've heard some of the guys from Game Trailers talking about Revelations, and they basically say like it's fairly weak as far as like.
Well, it's not just Revelations. 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations.
They're all basically the same game, but...
Basically.
Right.
They are. There's really no difference. Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood should have been one and the same. Not enough happened in between the two for them to be separated.
Right, okay.
They're just trying to make money.
Plus, wasn't there like a bunch of DLC in there too? Like
yeah, they had like Leonardo da Vinci missions
like
and things like that. Yeah. But yeah, like the modern day... It's basically... I'm going to move through this quick. It's basically Templars and Assassins are like the battling factions, but I don't get. They tell you how big and bad the Templars are. I see it in the past, but the present day representation of the Templars is an old man and a couple mall security cops. That's all. Like I'm like, why the fuck am I scared of these guys? It's stupid.
Are they like going to introduce like the Illuminati or something?
I don't know,
like
but they haven't done a good job of it all. And a lot of people say just shut your brain off, pretend that doesn't happen. I can't. I don't work like that with games. It's part of it.
I think a lot of people are banking on this new game to have a lot of more of that.
Bank on it all if they want, but there's been 4 games and nothing's happened in terms of the story. Like, I wish they would just forget that whole Templar Assassins thing happened, and they would just deal with the Assassin's Creed as the American Revolution for 3 is its own game. There's no flashing back to modern time. It's just that's the point. It's a contained story. The American Revolution. You're this assassin in the time.
That makes more sense to me.
And that's it. Don't flash back to the present time with these advanced beings and Templars and assassins. They could have made it work, but they haven't done a good job.
Too convoluted.
It's not even that. It's just they haven't done a good job fleshing it out. Anyway, that's enough of that. The other big release we want to talk about that neither of us have.
Well, yeah,
is Diablo 3. Diablo 3.
Which is funny because I'm actually I have played Diablo 2.
I played it tons and the DLC.
But I haven't played it tons.
10 years ago. I was in college.
Yeah. See, I've only played it a little bit.
Old man.
But I'm actually like, I know that they're working on a console version, so hopefully it happens.
Yeah, I don't know. He hasn't confirmed it.
Well, I know that they have a team working on it, at least. So, and apparently you can use a controller out of the box on the PC version.
Yeah, I think so too. But it works much better with the mouse and keyboard.
It's just
hotkeys. It just does. You get used to it.
I suppose, but I want to play it on the couch.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? So,
but they've had some problems with the release. I don't know. Some people had trouble logging in. For a game that magnitude, I just didn't like their excuse that they didn't. they underestimated the load or something like that. They run WoW, World of Warcraft, and StarCraft. The anticipation and the pre-orders
they should have just banked that every user that they already have is
I don't get
Diablo.
that, but sometimes there's unforeseen problems and that happens. But the game, I know the game's very cool.
Yeah,
it's a loot-driven game.
A couple of guys at work are already level 60.
Yeah,
and I'm like, really?
Wow.
Yeah,
but a lot of people, I hear the phrase that the game actually doesn't start until Nightmare difficulty.
Well, basically...
Normal difficulty, even when you finish it, that doesn't even count.
Well, you're still going to get the story, though.
Because I think you can only get the best items on the higher difficulties.
Exactly, yes.
And you can team up for these. Which I like it.
Direct intervention is necessary.
Classes that are in the game?
A little bit, yeah.
What's one that sticks out for you that you'd like to play with if you picked it up tomorrow?
I'm pretty sure I'm going to use the Demon Hunter.
Okay. Yeah, and that's a girl.
Well, there's two. You can choose male or female for any of the characters.
I don't think you can.
No, my buddy was talking to me about it.
Oh, then that's the first case. Diablo 2 you couldn't. You were either...
Yeah, I know with the monk, he wanted to be a monk and he hated the male character design, so he used a female character.
Oh, that's new. Because this is the first... Because Diablo 2 didn't have that.
No, okay.
If you were a druid, you were a male druid.
Right, and if you were the
sorceress,
Amazon...
the sorceress was the... I think that was a... Those are both the downloadable content characters.
Okay.
Or expansion characters, I should say.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway. I'd probably go with the monk. It looked the coolest to me. I noticed they just did some sort of nerf because he was overpowered with his health regeneration and runes and all that thing.
I think the character designs are awesome. Blizzard's always been really good at their art style is fantastic.
What's something that stuck with you after all these years about Diablo 2?
Honestly, like I said, I didn't play that far into it, but I know it's one of those games that I wish I had played more of.
I should give it to you. I have it.
Well, I actually have it on this computer.
Oh, okay.
I've just kind of dabbled with it here and there. Mostly because I don't like playing with a mouse and keyboard very often. I find that my wrist cramps off after like an hour. So, and I know these guys that play through the night and all this. I'm like, how the hell do they do that? Because it's just click, 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 click,
yeah,
click.
I know.
You know what I mean? So, that's why I really hope. I mean, I'd
like to see it come to consoles.
Yeah.
I really would. For me, what stuck with me from Diablo 2 late nights in college when I was playing it was the atmosphere. Some of the music was genuinely creepy.
Yeah.
Especially in the very first dungeon, I think, the cathedral. I don't remember. But I've used that for Halloween where I've played the music booming out the windows and kids have been afraid to come to the door. It's actually quite scary.
Cool.
The soundtrack's always been... Blizzards are masters of... their cutscenes.
Their production values are fantastic. It is.
They're through the roof. And the game, I know, a lot of people, haters gonna hate, I see all these people, Diablo 3 is crap, and then...
I'll basically give you what I've gotten out of what I've heard so far, is that it's not this grand evolution of the genre. It's basically...
It doesn't have to be, you know what I mean?
It's a prettier version of Diablo.
Yeah, Diablo 2, yeah.
Yeah.
And with but there's new aspects that are involved, but... These games have infinite replay value.
Yeah.
And there's only going to add to it and tinker to it. These games are ever changing.
Yeah.
Blizzard makes buckets and buckets of money for a reason.
Yeah.
Well, they make money for a reason, not because their games are shit.
They have the chest, the Diablo chest, battle chest or whatever you want to call it. $20 at Future Shop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're still selling it.
Well, for a game that neither of us have, I think we have... we both want to get it. It's just a matter of when.
That's why we wanted to mention it, because it's definitely worth talking about, even though we're not playing it.
Not playing it. I think my PC can run it on decent settings, so I just don't... Again, it's a game that I'd pick up tomorrow if I had nothing to play. I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to pick up a game that's $60 and go to it. I just don't have the time.
Yeah. So,
let's move on to the other big topic of conversation, which...
Well,
it's a little thing called...
The biggest thing to talk about in video games, period.
Yeah, the biggest conference of the year, E3, Electronic... What the hell is it?
Electronics Expo.
Entertainment Expo.
Gamers are we.
Yes, we are huge gamers.
It's only like 11 days away.
It's a great time of year for me personally. Ever since I've been a big boy, I've been able to, living on my own, which has been a number of years, but in the video game channel... I always like to watch the E3 coverage. And I always swore, you remember my friend Mike Kim.
Yep.
We are, as kids, we always wanted to go to an E3. Now it's almost impossible because it's industry standard now. They have very high standards in terms of getting in.
Right.
I'm gonna get there someday.
Oh yeah.
I will.
I have a buddy that went.
I want to.
When Starsky was working for Digital Extremes, he went.
Oh, cool.
So, and that was when they did Unreal. They had a version of Unreal that they worked on.
Oh, nice.
Unreal Tournament that came out on Xbox and a couple.
Okay, yeah,
it was a PC as well. But that was actually probably their most well-received game.
Yeah.
From Digital Extremes. So.
It's where most of the big announcements of the year happen, if not all.
Yep. And we've already got some rumors.
Yeah, I definitely got some rumors. Well, one early confirmation that I know you and I are both happy about, actually more than happy about.
Yeah.
I'm fucking ecstatic about it. And that's Castlevania Lords of Shadow is, although it's rumored, it's basically confirmed that it will be getting a sequel.
Yeah.
And they're working on it. They're going to announce it at E3. Now, for people that don't know, Konami actually generally has a press conference of their own. I think it's like a day prior to the show now.
Are they going to do that
They
again
started
this
it
year?
last year. I think they're doing it again.
Okay. Last year's was much better than the year before, if you happen to catch the one from, I think, 2010.
Well, 2010 was where they announced Lords of Shadow.
2029. No,
2029.
Yeah, 2009.
2009.
They did this one, and I think it was 2009, and it was just really low budget, because I think it was the first time they'd done it. And they had some really embarrassing moments, really.
Oh, really? Well, what was the year they announced Lords of Shadow? Because they had a really big build-up campaign. Because that's when they announced.
Well, it came out in 2010, so I mean, I think it would have been 2009 that they would have been announcing.
Well, that was when they ran a big internet campaign with the masks, and there was a timer.
Oh, right.
A countdown. I kept 2 minutes because I wanted it to be Zone of the Enders.
Okay.
I wanted to Zone of the Enders 3, and I was. Talking about Castlevania, and when it finally came out, that was the same year they announced Metal Gear Solid Raiden.
Okay.
That was when they announced it, and now it's Revengeance, blah, 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 which we should actually see at E3.
Yes.
We'll get to that in a sec. But yeah, again, it's one of our games of 2010, your game of the year. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I always read fairly harsh criticisms of this
I don't
game.
get it. I just don't get it.
And both of us agree on that point. I mean, I think we've already said that anybody that doesn't think that Lords of Shadow is a Castlevania game probably hasn't played past the first act.
Yeah, because that couldn't be farther from the truth. It's a Castlevania game through and through. There's so many moments that made the hairs stand up on my end certain times.
Yeah.
Is the battle system reminiscent of some current iterations of action games? Absolutely. But you know what? Those current action games wouldn't be what they were without Castlevania.
Exactly.
There's always evolutions in the industry. Things change, things work. They've tried to make a 3D Castlevania for years. This had to be the 4th attempt out of it, and this is the first time it worked.
Nope. Hail to
I
the king,
love
baby.
the game, the atmosphere, the soundtrack, everything, and it's like a pseudo reboot.
Well, it totally is, and you get people complaining, "Oh, you don't fight Dracula," but this is the story of Dracula.
I love the game.
And
I thought it was great, and I'm ecstatic that because when I saw the first announcement was a Castlevania game for the 3DS, which I'm sure would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
because some of the side scrolling.
One of the guys from Mercury Steam is actually working on that. So,
but I was pissed, and I remember I got on my Twitter right away, and I was like, "Where's the Lords of Shadow sequel?"
Yeah.
Lo and behold, 2 days later, the rumor came through, and honestly, I jumped off my couch. I was that happy.
I'm that happy too.
I can't wait to see it. I really hope they don't deviate from the path that they set out with the first game. I don't think they will.
I don't think they will
Because
either.
it worked.
It did. And
Game's awesome.
It is.
Another game, we just talked about Revengeance. I hope they have it there. I love Platinum Games.
Yep.
They make great games. Huge gamble for them, though, because I know they want a big hit. Their past games, Bayonetta underperformed.
Well, they're critical darlings, but they haven't been commercial
Oh yeah,
successes.
those games are awesome. They are so.
Anybody that hasn't played Bayonetta or Vanquish, go to the bargain bin now
and get them
because they're worth every cent.
I just hope the rumor was that they canceled the Bayonetta sequel. I know, hurts.
It does,
but I hope they didn't. I hope it's still coming.
Yeah.
But I understand why they'd have to put it on the back burner to work on this game and get it finished. But this is a big franchise that they're taking a hold of, but it's also a big risk because if this game flops, Platinum's going to be hurting, and no one's going to trust them.
Yeah. So I mean, they have a big name riding on them. It has to be a good action game, and I have.
It will be a good action game, but will it be what Metal Gear fans want? That's the question.
Well, hopefully Metal Gear fans can handle something a little different.
Yeah. You know what? I'll definitely play it.
Yeah.
Raiden irks me the wrong way, but I'm still such a huge Metal Gear fan that I'll play it and love it probably.
Well, and then Platinum's got another game coming out too with Anarchy Rising.
Yeah.
Which also looks really cool.
Hopefully we see... we haven't heard from that game in a while.
I think there's been some character trailers, but there haven't been a lot of like they've been kind of under the radar trailers. They haven't been like these big epic...
Yeah, like we haven't seen a full-fledged gameplay or story trailer or whatever the hell it is.
I've got one that I could show you later maybe, but there hasn't been that much press for that game.
So let's... If we're on the top E3, let's start with... We'll go by major companies, okay? And we'll go there. You know what, let's start with a company that we don't really talk about a lot. And that's Nintendo. What are you looking for them? There's been some recent Wii U announcements in terms of...
well, I saw a picture...
Because that's going to be their main thrust.
Yeah, and I saw the picture of the redesigned Wii U controller, and for whatever strange reason...
They added the second analog, right?
Well, they actually put sticks on instead of the analog nubs, so that's a good start. But the problem is, the right stick is above the buttons, and anybody that's been playing games for the past, like, 10 years has gotten used to having the buttons above the stick.
Or right beside, right?
Right, so, I don't know, that could become a bit of a...
I don't know, I just don't think... The controller doesn't appeal to me. It's large, it's cumbersome.
I think it's going to be light, but...
yeah, will it feel cheap? Because light doesn't always mean great. We're not talking about... You know, this is the thing that you will hold in your hands.
Well, that's the thing. When you're sitting playing your PS3 or your Xbox, and you've got this comfortable controller that
sturdy.
You can just sit with it in your lap. Are you going to be able to do that comfortably?
Yeah. What the hell is that? And like, what am I doing visually? Am I looking at the screen, the TV, or am I looking at this thing in my lap? And how does it work? Excuse me if I'm ignorant. I've been out of the loop for Nintendo for a while, for personal reasons. I just don't have the love that I have, and the nostalgia is completely gone for Nintendo and me now.
I do know that for games like, say, Zelda, you're gonna have like your map or your item screen down on there, and it's gonna work like a DS in that sense.
Come on, where does gimmick? I mean, where does gimmick end, or where does cool concept end and gimmick begin? Well, because this is stupid.
When do we forget gimmicks and remember game?
Well, that's what I am with you completely on that.
And I think that's actually what Sony's going to be pushing this year.
Games.
Is games. We are the game system.
They should have done that last year. Yeah. Unfortunately, they had the PSN, but we'll save that for Sony's. We'll speak that. Let's keep it on Nintendo. Because I want to give them a fair shake here. We generally don't hear on Grizzled Veterans enough, and neither of us have a Nintendo console right now.
I think
I have Nintendo emulators.
I think. Well, I mean, for me, I know why it is, and a lot of it has to do with like their games don't appeal to me anymore.
And it's not because of our age. It really isn't.
Well, I think part of it is I play different kinds of games now than I did when I owned like a Super Nintendo, say.
But Donovan,
or they don't make those kind of games.
When I played Ocarina of Time when I was in my early 20s, the games had the magic. The magic was there. Yeah. I've tried Twilight Princess. Wasn't there. Skyward Sword was not good. I don't care what anyone says the game was gimmicky. I don't want to toggle. Wii lost me because of the motion controls. Yeah. Forcing that on it. But you know what? They basically won the console wars. They did.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing in a way if sales count, but in terms of the gamer eye, they didn't. The winner is yet to be determined, but it's ultimately 360.
Yeah, I mean at this point it's safe to say that Sony did come in low on as far as the big three goes, but at the same time, Nintendo's kind of in their own category this gen.
They did, and they went gimmicky and motion control and tried to. I don't know if they went after the casual audience. I think it was just a good idea in their minds, and it was a good idea because it worked. And the casuals seem to latch on. We're all gamers, okay? Casual or hardcore. I'm just making the distinction because there is a difference in the games that these people play.
Absolutely.
But in terms of why I don't follow Nintendo anymore, I find they've shit on their hardcore audience for multiple systems. They give the same recycled format time and time and time again.
We're getting the same games from them over and over.
The same game with the new coat of paint. And I'm sick of the Nintendo fanboys defending it because the games are good. Yes, they're good. But it is the same.
Yep.
Mario, the same Mario game all the time. Different gimmicks. Mario Kart is the same game. Every system.
I was going to say Mario Kart.
With a new coat of paint.
Yeah, Mario Kart.
The game is awesome. The concept works. And likewise, the Mario sports games, they all work. I enjoyed the baseball, the tennis. Now, they're more niche, but they work. But
they bring them out for every system.
It's the same fucking thing. Yeah. Like, come on. You can't defend that, and they don't have enough games. They don't do enough. They need some new IPs.
Well, you could say, they got like 20 IPs, but I agree with you completely. They need to create some new...
The last one, other than your Wii Sports, don't count those. Those are they are new
what was
IPs.
After Pikmin?
Nothing. They haven't created a real game, hardcore game IP since Pikmin. And that's pathetic. For a company that lauds itself on innovation and being there for their game people, they don't make games anymore. They don't make anything new.
They
rest on their laurels.
Yeah, they just fell back on what they was safe.
And the fans, they're there to just suck the balls of Nintendo repeatedly.
Nintendo fan boys,
they juggle the balls in the mouth.
I think they're probably some of the most aggressive and loyal. Yeah.
So we'll move on to the present time with Wii U. I'll give you my opinion on what's going to happen with the Wii U. The specs that are rumored, generally, we kind of already know what the 720 or Durango or the PS4 Orbis specs are rumored, and they're crazy powerful. But we don't yet know what the Wii uses, and to me, that says that can't be a good thing. No. Generally, when you don't know something, that's because they're protecting it so close to their chest that, and they're not confident in it.
Either they're very confident or they're not.
But they would have let it leak. If we know something of systems that are
that's the thing,
rumored,
like system specs, we should know by now.
Yeah, and that's not all systems cracked up to be, but it's power. Are we moving to the next generation or are we not?
Well, this is also a sign of the times.
Yeah.
I mean, back when I was getting EGM in the mail, yeah, you'd get the specs in there.
Yeah, rumored specs in there, yeah.
But I mean, and that's going back to 91.
Yeah. So the fact that I haven't heard anything concrete and the Wii is so close, I guess the rumor release date is November, which would make a lot of sense for a holiday, is somewhat suspect. To me, I think it'll be
hearing they're gonna
slightly ahead of current 360 PS4. Price point, I think it's going to be around... We're Canadian.
We've heard between $300 and $400.
No, it's going to be $400. I'm thinking $369 for American prices. It's going to be $4 whatever Canadian. To me, it's too expensive for what Nintendo offers. They're banking on taking the casual audience that they've created with them. That's made them so much bank.
Well, I think what's going to end up happening is the initial batch that come out are going to be scooped up by the fanboys. And then the price will come down and the rest of them will buy it.
The price won't come down fast though. It's not going to. It's not the Vita here, which we'll talk about in the Sony. Nintendo doesn't break price. The 3DS bombed at first and they dropped the price, but otherwise they wouldn't have.
Yeah.
But Nintendo's going to find that they're not going to be able to take the casual audience with them. And they've shit on the hardcore audience, so then they're going to be demand for games. Because the casual audience already has what they need. They don't care about a new gen console. For a lot of them and their kids, this is all they want.
Yeah.
They've got everything they need. Well, the games are still sufficiently pretty. It's not that they look like the Stone Age. They get to move their thing. They get to work out in front of the TV. They don't care about the new Zelda or the new up-to-date Mario game because they got 10 Mario games.
Yep.
They got 10 of them.
Well,
and now they got this big tablet thing, which is not conducive to home use. It's not conducive to a 6-year-old and a 5-year-old kid, 7-year-old kid jumping around and moving. That's not going to work for them.
Well, it's funny because
it's confusing.
With the Wii, it was all about getting off the couch.
Yeah.
With the Wii U, it's all about getting back on the couch.
Well, honestly, I don't even know what the hell they want us to do. I mean, am I taking this on the go? Am I on the couch? Am I standing up?
I know you're not taking
what the hell am I doing?
You're definitely not taking it on the go.
I don't know what.
It has no processing power, apparently.
It's just
the tablet.
I think it's a mess. The last E3 was a mess for Nintendo. They offered no answers and was all questions. This one is vital for Nintendo because it's all Wii U again, and people want answers, and they better come with them. I would get right back on. I want to support Nintendo again, so Nintendo was always my second system.
Here's the funny thing. As say, we're the least interested in the Wii, but I'm actually the most interested in their press conference out of the big three.
I'm not, but I know why you're saying that.
Yeah, it's because of what you were just saying. We want to know what's going on because they have the biggest potential to surprise, maybe?
But they do. They do. And I think a lot of people like us who have that nostalgia still somewhat there, but I think the only thing that's changed is, yes, I grew up, but I just look at games different, but that doesn't mean I still wouldn't play. I'd still play Ocarina of Time. I'd still play Super Mario World.
I'd love to play a new
Super Mario World, Super Nintendo. I could play that game tomorrow, and it's still the best Mario game ever made. The best, bar none. It's that good.
Yeah.
Super Mario 64 is very good too, but it's just sort of a fetch thing for stars back and forth.
Yeah.
If we're talking about Mario games all encompassive, I still believe Super Mario World. And I played Galaxy. I played Sunshine.
Yeah.
They don't stand in the same realm to me.
I just think like Mario just works best in 2D.
He does, but
not that they haven't done a good job with the 3D stuff.
Yeah.
But I always find, and this is because I don't.
But you know what? It's
I don't play Wii very often, so it's really funny when I do because
Yeah.
I completely suck at it. So I can't even play Mario on the Wii. I go up to a block to punch, and I can't stand in the right spot.
Wow.
I miss the blocks and all this kind of stuff.
It's our old man hands. They failed us.
Yes, if I don't have a PS3 or an Xbox controller in my hand, it just won't
large
work.
brick.
So,
but Nintendo needs to show us something different in terms of games. Games are the crux, but Nintendo needs to be careful because I think they are banking on something that might not be there next generation. It might come to bite them in the ass. Let's move on to the 360. For me, I'll let you take this, but what if I expect another underwhelming press conference? Last year's was terrible.
I think it's going to be a terrible press conference.
They're going to push Kinect. They don't have any exclusives coming out.
I think Microsoft is going to have the worst press conference of the big.
They did last year.
I think you're absolutely right. They're going to focus on Kinect again,
which is
they're also going to focus on the multimedia side of the Xbox.
I know, and which is I get it, but you know what?
And I totally agree with you at this point that. Like with as far as the exclusives and all that goes, like Sony is way, way, way ahead of Microsoft at this point. Microsoft.
If Sony had the PR team that Microsoft does, this wouldn't even be a race anymore.
No.
Their games would sell oodles.
Yeah.
It's a joke how bad Sony's PR and marketing staff is, and I've said this in multiple blogs. It's amazing to me how they still have jobs, all of them, in terms of the Vita and stuff. But that's Sony. We'll get to the end. 360.
I'm expecting basically what I just said, a pretty boring conference with. I'm hoping to get
lots of flash, but not saying enough.
I'm hoping some games get surprised, but honestly, a lot of this stuff usually gets leaked ahead of time. We know they're going to talk about Halo, which we already know about.
It's Halo. How many Halo games do we have this year? Or this generation?
This generation.
This will be what? 3? The 4th?
No, 3. 3 this generation. Okay. I think.
Are you sure? There's Halo 3. There's Reach.
Well, and the remake, I guess, if you want to count the
remake.
So 4.
Okay. This will be the 4th.
Yeah. But only because there's an HD remake in there too, but whatever. Regardless. I don't know, I suppose I'm moderately excited about Halo, but it's the only shooter that I really play, so and that's...
Any hope for the 720 Durango news?
I doubt
announcements?
I really
don't think they'll drop a bomb?
At this point, I'm pretty confident they're not going to.
I think if any of the two do it, it will be the 360 because it seems like they just shut down in terms of games. They did it with the Xbox, and they just, unlike Sony, who continues their thing, almost. I like what they do after a certain point, but then it gets to a point where it's to the detriment of their current products, and it's just it's foolhardy. But the Xbox just shuts that shit down, boy, and there's nothing coming out, and it seems like after Halo 4, there's nothing.
Well, I know, like it's all third-party stuff. There isn't a lot of first-party stuff that I can think of. They got Forza, they got Fable, and they got
Alan Wake, Gears of War. Yeah. Those are their exclusives.
But I mean, like, I don't know if we're gonna get another Gears. I know they're not gonna.
They're not gonna get another.
We're gonna get an Unreal announcement.
That'll be multi-platform, though.
Yeah.
I mean, these are all multi-platform games.
But that's what Epic's working on. They got the tower defense game that they announced, and then they've got Unreal that just got...
So, out of 100, what's your percentage 720 announcement?
60?
Or anything.
60% maybe?
Oh, that's pretty high. That's higher than not thinking. I mean, that's a good chance.
I'm just thinking that there is a potential for surprise. I'm going to give them that there's a potential for surprise.
I'm going to go on a limb and say 75% they say something at the end of the conference regarding the 720. I think Microsoft knows they need pep.
There's going to be an announcement that they're working on it, but it's not going to come out.
No, you can't do that at a press conference of this magnitude. I'm sorry. You can't come out with You can't come out with Joe Blow, Microsoft guy, or whoever the hell they're going to come out with, and say, "Oh, by the way, we're working on stuff." Microsoft has bucket loads of money, and when they do shit, like they bring the fucking Beatles in, they bring guys come in to play dumb music games. They're not going to bring the next generation of their system in with a whimper.
Fair enough. I don't know. I think they still want to milk the 360 for everything it's worth, and it's worth a lot still.
Oh, it is.
And so is the PS3, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I think this generation is going to hold on a little bit longer. I don't think we're actually going to see the new systems until 2014.
Yeah, I think the 360 or Microsoft is the one pushing this next gen. They don't really care about Nintendo. Is it them
or is it the gamer public in general?
No, the gamer public. I think they're not ready for the next gen. If
that's anything, what a lot of people are saying. That I've been like, some of the journalism that I've been checking out has been saying that's kind of why this generation is lasting this long.
Well, it's the cost. It's also we'll get on topic for a second here. It's also the cost to the game creators.
That's what the
developers.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're just now getting their hands around and understanding
and pushing these
and
systems.
way to cut costs. Yeah. These games cost a lot of fucking money to make.
Yeah,
and they're a lot of time.
Look at 38 Studios, the guys that made Amalur.
Yeah.
They're in big trouble, man.
And that's, Kurt Schilling is a major league player. I mean, he's millions and millions of dollars along with other people.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's all it's cracked up to be because something, but who knows? But it's hard for companies to stay in business these days. And they're just, if you bring a new one out with new tools and new everything in terms of how to develop a game, where does it stop?
No.
Games aren't going to get cheaper. And customers and consumers demand more for less all the time.
Well, I mean, look at a game like Arkham City.
Yeah.
How much better looking do you need it to be?
I know, really. Now, I know the increment, the jump in visuals will not be what it was.
No, we're never going to see like what we saw, up till now. Yeah, at this point,
like the Xbox to the 360 is a huge jump, just like the PS2 to the PS3. But the jump to the PS4 and the 720 are not going to be like that. Now it's nuanced. It'll have different lighting, particle effects, things like that.
And it's going to be specific developers that are going to push and do things better than others. Like it's the way it's always been.
With the more money, but
like Epic is going to
eventually it's just going to come to a point where it's just too much money to make. And the risk will stop.
Yeah,
it'll just be sequels, and I don't want that.
And we've already seen this. Now, again, people talk about sequels, but I mean, look at a series like Mega Man.
Yeah, but that's been over 25 years.
But there's how many titles?
Yeah, deservedly so. But that's 25 years.
Whatever. I mean, I think
we're getting a little off topic to stay on E3, but. Yeah, I don't know. In terms of the next generation, are we ready? I don't know. But do we have a choice? Definitely not.
No. Well, it'll happen.
It's coming. It's just a matter of when.
So Sony.
So we'll get to Sony and my ideas on Sony. I wrote a great... I shouldn't say great, but I think I wrote a great blog on this I think a few months ago on what I think E3 and the next gen holds for all three console manufacturers and creators. But I don't think Sony was ready to move to the next gen until 360 pushed the button and the Durango rumors started. Now they were working on it, but they've accelerated the Orbis, the PS4, whatever the hell. But Sony makes great. They have the best games out there. They're the most exclusives.
Okay, but having the most exclusive doesn't mean I think it's funny the way you say that.
They do though. I mean, how else do you put it? If you measure it in terms of sales, no.
Yeah.
But in terms of the amount of AAA exclusive games, if you stack them up, Sony's going to come out on top. To me, they're the console for gamers.
Well,
although they have a lot. Sony's fucking stupid in so many different ways. Don't get me wrong. I have just as many complaints as I do giving and nurturing things to the company.
I really, really hope that they announce an update for the network.
It's not going to happen until next year.
I want a new interface.
Yeah. But I think they're going to come up with some huge announcements.
Game-wise, we're going to get some great announcements from Sony.
People won't understand that the PS3 came out a full year behind the 360. And they've done a lot of things wrong in the North America market. But if we're talking worldwide, they're right on the heels of 360. in terms of worldwide sales.
Oh, they have great European support and great Japanese support.
But yeah, it's
the North American support where it's 360.
Yeah, and they just jumped on. But Sony needs to market their games better. They need to.
We need more Kevin Butler.
Yeah, but even still, Kevin Butler's commercials are funny, but they don't sell games. And I really hope. I think it's going to be a lot of Vita, but I hope it's not all Vita.
I think you're going to get both. I really do. I think, yes, they're going to do a big thing on Vita.
They'll announce a Vita price drop. Huge price drop.
Sure.
They have to. But the system right now is so dead, it's not even funny.
It's selling less than 10,000 units a week in Japan.
Oh, and it's been steady like that. It's sold under 10,000 forever. Yeah. And it's doing nothing here because, again, Sony's PR and marketing staff, I don't know, the heads up, they don't give enough money, or they just have no idea because the Vita is bombing and it shouldn't bomb.
No, it's a great piece of tech.
It's either, okay, I guess this was experimental in the fact that it was, does the consumer base want a high-powered portable still? That was the experiment. But you know what? There are still people that will buy it, and they haven't done a good enough job getting it into their hands and telling them why they should have it. Because the games are decent. Now, there's not a lot of games out, but if you compare
there's actually quite a few games.
If you compare the release between the 3DS and the Vita and the launches, the Vita's was superior.
If you want to play fighters, you got Mortal Kombat and Marvel vs. Capcom, and I've got Street Fighter Cross Tekken comes out in the fall. But I mean, like, you've got some cool rhythm games.
But they gotta watch. They run the risk of being a miniature PS3, and it's got to stand on its own. Because if you want to play Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Why the fuck are you going to play them on a portable? I don't want to play them on a portable. I don't care how pretty they look.
Yeah.
They're not meant to be playing on a portable. It's silly. The screen's small. There's too much going on. I loved my PSP, and they did a good job.
I wouldn't want to play Marvel vs. Capcom on that.
No, I wouldn't. But, you know, there's going to be a lot of Vita. Hopefully there's some killer apps that they announced. The new, I don't know what they're going to do, but God of War, Ascension, they announced so many games that they mount to be cross-platform between the Vita and PS3, and that's cool, but you know what? I think there needs to be a separation. PS3 games need to be PS3.
Yeah.
Vita games need to be Vita. If you want them to interact, cool, but then you run the risk of dumbing down... Yeah, you run the risk of dumbing down the big parent console game to be on the Vita and blah, 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 blah. I think there's going to be some big game announcements.
I think there's going to be games we haven't heard about.
I think the press conference... I think Sony will win E3, whatever the fuck that means.
I think they're going to have the best press conference.
Yeah. And last year's showing was still okay, but they had a lot of ass kissing to do because of the PSN
he had to come
down.
out like
they couldn't do anything.
And I think this year, oh shoot, I know his name and I can't think of it.
Jack Trenton.
Yeah, Jack Trenton's gonna probably come out first, and then
I like Jack. You know,
I do too. He's
a suit, but he seems very personable.
Yeah.
As Reggie's Phil's Ames. If we're gonna talk about the guys, Reggie's very in your face, but.
I can't stand Reggie.
I don't know.
Reggie is so shady to me.
He seems, he's very like aggressive, but some of the things
every time I see him in an interview, it feels like he's in an interview just to sell himself.
Yeah,
because they never reveal things. They did a thing on Game Trailers a couple of months ago, and they had Reggie out, and I think it was one of the recent game shows, like it would have been like GamesCon or something like that, and they had Reggie on for this interview. And he didn't give us any information.
Yeah.
It was like...
He's always like... He's like, you should just...
would ask a question.
I get the impression...
skirt around the issue.
And like, you should just know. Like, he's a typical suit guy that... Reggie looks like to me that he doesn't play a lot of video games.
If you got nothing to say, don't give an interview.
I know. Yeah, and your PR guy should get into that, you know, that's business.
I find Reggie very slimy.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to have a conversation with Reggie someday and get inside of his brain, but just an outsider guy who knows nothing.
I think
Reggie to me isn't a good spokesperson for Nintendo.
He's a great spokesperson, but I think my first question would be, how full of yourself are you?
Yeah, maybe. He's a big man, though.
He's a big man, so he's got a lot to fill.
Yeah, but Jack Trenton's good.
I like Jack Trenton. And then
Kazurai. Kazurai needs a new stylist. Kazurai always looks like he's wearing his dad's jacket. Because Kazurai can't be any more than 110 pounds. There's nothing to him. But his jacket is always too big.
Yeah.
Whereas he needs like a cut Armani suit, like look money.
Yeah.
Don't look like your suit's too big. That's
I do like Kaz Azrael though, and I think that he Azrael.
Yeah, it sounds like something from Superman or something. But you know what? Kazurai's under a lot of pressure. I don't know if we'll see him at the press conference.
I don't know. I think it's
because he's the head honcho now.
I know. I think it's actually important for him.
And it's up to him to not only put the video games division back in tank, but the entire Sony division.
I actually think that he's going to give a big part of the press conference, and he's going to be the one that says games.
Don't. I think they bring Kaz out for the bigger announcements. Vita, those things.
I've got a few things where he gives that impression, like he wants to refocus the directives.
He needs to,
and he's a very games centric guy. His background, right? So
yeah, well, I think that's where he came up. But Sony needs to, like, their stupid decision. They continue to sort the PSP when it's just cutting the balls off the Vita. Why they're doing that, and they still make games for it. PSP outsells the Vita. Like, is that not the dumbest thing? I went to school for business. I have a business. I've been in it for over a decade.
PSP.
And I have a PSP.
When was the last time you played it?
Typical business sense. You're cutting your own grass. Yeah. You're competing against yourself.
Well, they did the same thing with the PS2.
Yeah, but it's not really the same.
Although the PS2 was still selling like mad.
It was. But they didn't. PS3 wasn't running into the sales problem that the PS2 was, or the Vita is.
Yeah.
You know, and they still weren't releasing individual huge titles for the PSP or the PS2 when the PS3 was out.
Yeah.
But do I think we'll see the PS4 there? No. I give a 10% chance because I think their plate's full with the Vita and they got too much to say.
No, I think you're right. I think that this year it's going to be Vita and
games.
Get
the Vita fixed. Announce. I think there's going to be some surprise announcements for the PS3.
I completely agree with you.
There could be a God of War 4 announcement. I know you're not a big...
That is God of War.
No, it's not. God of War Ascension is not God of War 4. It doesn't have a 4 beside it.
They can't make 4.
I don't know. I don't know.
From what I know,
there's going to be something else.
I will admit I haven't finished God of War 3. But
yeah, because this game's a prequel.
Yeah.
And the story needs to continue.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Honestly, God of War, yawn.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm
crazy. I love it. But yeah, E3, our predictions. Send us yours.
Absolutely.
When we post the thing, let us know. Let us know what you think. Are we crazy that we don't have any high hopes for Nintendo? Do you think Microsoft will surprise us?
What do you guys want to see?
Do you think Sony's a lame duck and they don't know what they're doing? Let us know.
Quack, quack.
I don't know. Donovan, where can they reach you?
They can reach me on Twitter, and we're going to make sure that we make some kind of a link for it. Actually, if you're getting this on SoundCloud, all the information will be in the description. So
yeah, everybody flesh it out a bit.
Wow, I mean, my Twitter handle is iRobot.
Donovan, you only edit it, post it, and everything. I mean, you got to make it descriptive.
The only reason I don't say it is because I basically have to spell it out. So look it up in the description. It's iRobot with a hyphen in the middle.
Yep. I'm excited for your screen. Woo! I'm Jason Rose on Twitter. Tech Canadian on my IGN if you want to follow me there. I write about a bunch of malarkey.
I'm on IGN too, iRobot.
Like TEH Canadian. That's me. Yo.
And he's the blog master, so check out his blogs.
I don't know, master.
Well, you make blogs, I don't, so I do the tech here.
I don't know.
All right, kids.
That's it.
I
guess we'll see you after E3.
Woo!
We'll be back, see how right, wrong, maybe wrong. Maybe we'll have a whole bunch of things to talk about.
All right, episode 5 will be all about E3, the aftermath.
Aftermath.
All right.
Grizzled Veterans, we're out.
Cheers.